Hi, I'm Fred Burton, and I'm joined today via Skype with my colleague Scott Stewart to discuss the anniversary of the first World Trade Center bombing. Scott, this is a case that you and I know very well, having worked the original 1993 attack. What are your recollections of the bombing?
Well, the bombing itself, I guess one of the things that shocked me was the magnitude of the device. I mean, it was a very large device, some 1,300 pounds, and it caused a massive amount of damage to the basement of the Trade Center. But despite the size of the device, it only killed 6 people. And I always thought that was fairly miraculous.
And I know as we looked into the case, you have to go back and also think about the assassination of Rabbi Meir Kahane and the suspect that killed him, as it was connected to the World Trade Center attack.
Yeah, that was an interesting thing. After the suspects were identified, things came into focus very quickly for us, including us in the Diplomatic Security Service, plus the FBI, because there had already been an investigation into these people. We ran a lot of leads for the Manhattan District Attorney's Office in the Kahane killing. And of course, the FBI was looking at this group as they were supporting Noser, the Kahane shooter, and they actually had an informant in the group. So once we got Mohammed Salame identified as the guy who had rented the truck, things kind of closed in pretty quickly, and we pretty much knew who these guys were. At that same time, though, it was really interesting to see how the Trade Center bombing really fit into the timeline of all those other attacks. With the Kahane killing, you had the Trade Center bombing, and then the follow-on attack, the Landmarks plot.
And I know we traced the weapon used to kill Rabbi Meir Kahane to the Egyptian army, which was a Smith & Wesson, if memory serves me right, which we had actually sold to the Egyptians, which was a kind of a fascinating twist. And then the follow-on landmark plots. Why don't you go over that for our viewers as to some of the attacks that Sheikh Omar Abdul Rahman, the Blind Sheikh, and the Ramzi Youssef cell had put together?
Yeah, basically what they were looking at is trying to hit a bunch of targets. They would not have had the ability to hit them all. So that, they were kind of trying to figure out what they wanted to hit. But they were talking about maybe hitting the UN headquarters, the Javits Federal Building, which is where our office was in New York, plus the FBI field office. They were also looking at hitting, the Holland and Lincoln tunnels. But really, they were more, aspirational in that aspect. They couldn't hit them all. They would have had to select maybe 1 or 2 targets out of that whole list. But it was enough in the plotting to get them convicted on the seditious conspiracy charges eventually.
Without a doubt, it really opened our eyes to the level of sophistication at times that these groups go to, and certainly caused us to rethink how we go about looking for terrorist pre-operational surveillance. And I know that as you fast forward, the State Department Regional Security Officer in Islamabad, Pakistan, and the special agents there would ultimately capture Ramzi Youssef, the mastermind of the first World Trade Center bombing, and we in DS had offered a $2 million reward at the time for his capture. So it was very nice to see some degree of closure with that.
Yeah, that was nice to be able to have him captured and brought back to stand trial. Having that kind of justice does give a finality to at least that portion of the case. Of course, Yassin is we don't know whatever happened to him. There are rumors that he was killed, after the U.S. invaded Iraq. So we still have one of the suspects at large as of today, but it's kind of doubtful that he's still alive.
Well, I appreciate you sharing your recollections of the anniversary of the World Trade Center bombing. That's all we have time for. For those of you interested in more information surrounding that, please feel free to visit www.stratfor.com.